Hello, you're watching our television. This is State of Business. I am Pumutha Katagampala. In our top stories, Sri Lanka hosts forums of ministers and environmental authorities of Asia Pacific. Sri Lanka plans to increase renewable energy production, President says. Welcome back, you're watching State of Business. Now let's have a detailed look at the stories. The 5th Forum of Ministers and Environmental Authorities of Asia Pacific, organized by the United Nations Environment Programme, was held in Colombo earlier this month. The forum provided a platform for governments, intergovernmental organizations and other stakeholders to discuss and prioritize environmental issues in the Asia Pacific region. It aims to contribute to the outcome of the 6th session of the UN Environment Assembly taking place next year in Nairobi. Participants reviewed the progress of UNEA resolutions implementation in the region, as well as the progress made in regional forums and platforms where UNEP is the secretariat. Those include the Asia Pacific Clean Air Partnership, Asia Pacific Adaptation Network, Acid Deposition Monitoring Network in East Asia, and the Asia Pacific Regional Forum on Environment and Health.
Climate Justice Forum is the collective voice of climate vulnerable nations, shall seek to redress inequitable distribution of environmental burdens to vulnerable groups and economically disadvantaged population and states, from landless farmers to all types of poor and marginalized communities. They all must have access to this finance. The mission of the proposed Biosphere Reserve Bank for the Global South will be to protect and restore the biosphere for future generations by mainstreaming and integrating climate finance with conventional finance on an urgent and hyper-accelerated basis, and promoting both macro and micro-scale climate-friendly investments.
We urge member states to act upon the Asia-Pacific Youth Environment Manifesto 2023, recognizing its significance in guiding our collective efforts towards a greener and more sustainable future. In conclusion, Asia-Pacific's children and youth pledge their unwavering commitment to be catalysts for a sustainable future. We urge governments, international organizations, and stakeholders to heed their voices, integrate their perspectives, and collaborate with the Children and Youth Major Group to build a resilient and thriving planet for both present and future generations.
It is an opportunity for Asia Pacific region to speak with one voice about the most challenging environmental issues it is facing. This is vital for ensuring those concerns resonate on the global stage.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that Sri Lanka plans to reach 70% of its electricity generation through renewable sources, in line with the Climate Prosperity Plan by the year 2030. The President said this during his address at the 5th Forum of Ministers and Environment Authorities of Asia Pacific in Colombo recently.
Humanity is facing an existential threat. The interlinked and cascading effects of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution, the triple planetary crisis, are demanding a heavy toll on individuals, communities, and threatening life on our planet. Declines in nature and biodiversity at current trajectory will undermine the progress towards 35 out of 44 targets of the SDG related to poverty, hunger, health, weather, cities, climates, oceans, and land. In terms of change, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change estimates that global warming is likely to reach 1.5% centigrade between 2030 and 2052. Although Sri Lanka's emissions are globally negligible, amounting to merely 0.03%, we in our ambitious NDCs have set targets for 2030 to achieve a 14.5 reduction of GHG emissions, a 70% electricity generation through renewable sources, 32% of forest cover, weaning of coal power by 2042. The Net Zero 2050 roadmap for Sri Lanka will be launched at COP28. Sri Lanka is in the process or renewing National Biodiversity Strategic Action Plan 2016 to 22 to achieve the objectives of the Kunming-Montreal Global Diversity Framework.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe further said that the current situation of global monetary tightening is an ideal time to put a cap on lending rates of multilateral development banks and the IMF to reduce the burden on borrowing nations.
Numerous global fora have attempted to address the issue of climate change. The Bridgetown Initiative, Paris Pact for People and Planet, and numerous initiatives by the UN Secretary General. The issues and potential solutions have been well articulated at these events. What is missing is the money on the table, leadership and action. We need a climate justice forum to ensure that the countries least responsible for climate change do not bear a disproportionate share of the loss. We need to raise our collective voice and say, let's get done with this. The developed economies should be held accountable for meeting their net zero targets at least by 2040. If they fail to stay in line with these targets, such countries should be required to compensate the rest of the world. These funds can help with the financing requirements for climate mitigation, adaptation, and climate prosperity of developing nations. Additional volumes of concessionary financing at scale through the MDB is also a crucial requirement. Climate-related investments provide long-term returns which cannot be financed by fragmented, short-term, high-cost private financing. The prevailing situation where global monetary tightening is pushing up market-linked lending rates of MDBs and the IMF is also an opportune moment to consider options of capping such rates or other means to avoid further fiscal burdens on borrowing nations. The Vanuatu resolution has taken the issue of climate change before the International Court of Justice. This is the start of a process of recognizing climate justice as a human right. It is the core of the right to life. All other rights flow from the right to life. Countries unwilling to do their part to stop the climate crisis are guilty of committing genocide.
Stay tuned for more stories after this short commercial break. Welcome back, you're with State of Business. Now, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandlal Veerasinghe said that the best practice would be to establish an independent and regulated entity to manage the employees' provident fund. The Central Bank Governor also said that the Central Bank will continue to deliver the objective of managing the EPF for as long as responsibility is bestowed upon it by law. Governor Veerasinghe said this during a press conference held at the Central Bank premises in Colombo last week.
Under the Act, Central Bank has been entrusted to manage custodian of the EPF since 1958. We have been doing that. I think probably at that time, then government thought Central Bank would be the best place to manage this fund. We still have that. From our point of view, I think now this with the modern central banking, Central Bank should be focused on their core objectives, price stability and financial stability. But because those are additional responsibilities ensured by different laws, we can't say no. So we have to deliver that objective as well. That's how we have been doing it. But going forward, it's a decision by the Parliament, Cabinet, or people, or members, if they want. They can change the law. If the law is changed, then obviously, what I saw the recommendation is to have after proper consultation, establish an independent, I think, properly regulated entity to manage the fund. I think that's probably a best practice. I don't think many central banks around the world are managing someone else's fund, But this is a responsibility given by Act. So until the responsibility is with us, we will certainly deliver that objective very prudently and independently and properly. And we have been doing this.
Meanwhile, Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manusha Nanayakkara said that the workers' remittances for last month amounted to $482 million. The Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment took to Twitter to make this announcement during the weekend. The minister further disclosed that the cumulative figure on foreign workers' remittance from January to September this year is $4.3 billion. The minister marked this as a significant increase of 68.8% compared to the period of January to September in the year 2022. Based on the provisional data, total departures for foreign employment in August 2023 amounted to over 26,000. Meanwhile, the total departures during January to August 2023 amounted to over 197,000. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, the total departures for foreign employment reached over 311,000 in 2022. Now, the third Bangladeshi Film Festival, organized by the High Commission of Bangladesh, was held in Colombo from the 6th to the 8th of this month. The Bangladeshi High Commissioner said that the film festival aims to improve people-to-people ties between the two nations during the inauguration ceremony held at the National Film Corporation. The event showcased 4 critically acclaimed cinematic masterpieces from the Bangladeshi cinema industry during the 3 days. According to film critics and academics, these films are considered important milestones of what is considered as the Bengali new wave of cinema. High commissioners and ambassadors representing various countries and dignitaries from the Sri Lankan film industry was present during the inauguration of the festival. Decorated actress of Sri Lankan cinema, Swarna Mallavarati, also attended the inauguration ceremony as a chief guest.
This festival is a part of our efforts to showcase the rich cinematic heritage of Bangladesh and also celebrate the cultural similarities between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. It is a reflection of our commitment to strengthening cultural ties between our two friendly nations. We envision this festival as a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of our shared history, culture, and artistic expressions. Our ultimate goal is to enhance people-to-people connectivity. Step into the shoes of the characters. Feel their joy and pain, and let the magic of cinema sweep you away. Let us cherish the stories that bind us, the art that unites us, and the cultural heritage that defines us.
Stay tuned for the stock update. Welcome back, you're watching State of Business. Now the stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on negative notes today. The O-share price index dropped 162.88 points to close at 10,824.24, and the S&P SL 20 dropped 53.10 points to close at 3,047.70. The turnover was 1 billion rupees and over 54 million shares were traded. Coming up next are Forex rates. Well, that's it for tonight. For this and more, subscribe to our show on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for watching. Take care and good night.